welcome to video 9 of the series of creating an asteroids game in GameMaker. In this game, in this video, we are going to create an asteroid spawner that, as you can see here, will automatically spawn more asteroids when all the asteroids are destroyed here. If I can get that last one. Oh, missed it. Oh, got it. See how now it created 2 more. We're going to create it so that every time you clear the field, it will create another group of asteroids, adding 1 asteroid to the set. So I started off with 1 here. Now I've got 2. Okay. All right. To start off, we are going to create another object, but this object's just going to be a controller object, so it's not going to have any sprites. So we don't need any sprites for this one. I'm going to go over to objects here. Just go create. Zoom in, and I'm just going to call it obj controller. This ultimately is going to be used for a bunch of different things in the game. It does not need a sprite, so leave this blank. Okay. So in the create event, this is where it's when the game starts. It is going to create a bunch of asteroids. So we're going to do a create event here. Again, let me bring this in a little bit. Now I do need to make it a little bit wide here because we are going to have quite some long sentences here. So I'm just going to call it spawn first asteroids. Okay. First, we need to make a variable that's going to tell us, excuse me, it's going to tell us how many asteroids we are going to make when the game starts. So I'm just asteroid QTY, short for asteroid quantity, equals. I'm just going to put 5 at this point. Let me get rid of this line of code below here. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to repeat. I put a repeat loop here. If I can spell repeat right. And I want it to repeat as many times as I've got for asteroid quantity. Now be very careful that you spell asteroid quantity the same way every time. In my experience, that's quite a few people end up not doing that. So what I want to do is I want to generate an asteroid in a random location. So I'm going to create a variable to find a random x position. I'm going to call it new x equals, and I'm just going to go random room width. Okay, and this is just going to find a random location going across the size of the screen, the width of the screen. And then I'm going to make a new y equals random room height, H-E-I-G-H-T. Now notice again my capitalization. I've done something slightly different here. New is lowercase, and then the x and y. It helps separate the x and everything. So a lot of times I won't do that for most things, but whenever I'm dealing with x and y at the end of a word, I typically will capitalize the x and y, even though when you do the actual coding you do not. Alright, so what I want to happen is once these new values have been created, I want to now create an asteroid. So I'm going to go, I am going to put in I want to make it so that I can have some of them are large and some are medium. So I'm going to make this, I'm going to create them with a width instance, create layer again, and then I'm going to, the x and y value are going to be the new x, new y, and instances layer. And we're going to be making the object asteroid. Okay. And then so again, as I did before in the last section, I'm going to go ahead and put the opening and closing bracket. You know, I didn't do that up here, did I? Let me back up here so I don't lose my way. There we go. So now it'll get rid of any errors they're showing there too. So if I do have an error, it'll help me find it. Okay, so now I want to, with this new asteroid, I wanted to pick choose randomly between the large and small and medium asteroids. I don't want any small ones to start off with. So I'm going to go sprite index equals choose, and I'm going to kind of weigh it in the large asteroid's favor. So I'm going to go asteroid LG. Oops. And again, you got to make sure you're spelling these asteroids, the sprite names, correctly. LG. Notice I'm doing asteroid large twice. MD. Let me expand this a little bit so you can see the whole thing. And again, what I've done here is I'm randomly picking between the large and medium asteroids. Now, the reason I did the large twice is to double the chances that the large asteroid is going to get selected. So I'm going to get more large asteroids than medium asteroids doing it this way. Okay. Okay. So now we're going to go to the room, open the room up, and we're going to take out our asteroids. So all I got to do is just click on one and hold the control key and click on all the other asteroids here. And notice, do not select this ship, just hit delete. And then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to drag a controller in the room here, and I'm just going to drag it and drop it anywhere. Okay, make sure instances is selected up here. Now I'm going to play the game. Now notice there are no asteroids in this room, but when I play the game you will see 5 asteroids appear. And that's because that was our amount in asteroid quantity. See, there they are, 5 of them. And they all seem to appear in the same spot, so let's make sure we don't have some other. Okay, no, it just happened to be, they just all happen to appear in the same spot. Okay, so now you got 5 asteroids here. But I'm going to show you a problem that can occur. Now I'm going to crank up our asteroid quantity. Instead of 5, I'm going to make 500. Now look what happens now. See, my ship instantly gets destroyed. That's because an asteroid was randomly spawned right where my ship is. Now even with 5 here, you can still have that happen. So we've got to put in some kind of mechanism to keep him from getting hit with an asteroid before the game even starts. So we're going to make it so that every time it generates a new random location, it checks to see how far away it is from the ship, and if it's too close to the ship, it'll pick a new location. So let me put the code in, and then I'll show you a little diagram, a little demonstration of what is going on. So let me move this over again so we can see the entire thing here. Alright, so now with this new X and new Y, we're going to do what's called a do loop. So I'm going to go right, let me hit space here and put another space or another enter here, give us some room here. So right here, in between that bracket and above the new X, I'm going to type in do. And then I'm going to go to the next line, indent a little bit, and then after all of this, I'm going to put a closing bracket lining up with it. Okay. And I'll indent these guys so that they match up the way they're supposed to. And it's basically saying, do this. Find a random X and random Y. I gotta get rid of this bracket here. Until and then you tell it what the condition is for him to stop doing that. So it's going to be point distance between new X, new Y, and the object ship dot X, object ship dot Y. And then we're going to see if it is greater than, let's just use 200. Okay. Make sure I got on my, okay, so what happens is this do loop, what it happens is it generates these this random coordinates, X and Y values, and then it checks to see if that distance is is greater than 200, then move on. So do this until that distance between the new coordinates and the ship is greater than 200. Then start creating it, and then see it'll repeat it 500 times here. So now you notice if I play the game, see, no matter how many asteroids I've got, they're always, when it starts off, it always gives me a space here. So I'm going to kind of demonstrate what's going on there. Okay, so I've got this demo set up so that it's going to generate 10 asteroids, and the safety area around the ship is going to be 200 pixels. So if any asteroid, it won't let it generate any asteroids closer than 200 pixels. So it happens, and mind that this all happens within one step. So what happens first is the code generates a random X position. Let me see if I can move this over so you can see the code as it's going right there. Yeah, right there. The new X, it generates a random X position. Then it generates a random Y position. See, so there's our coordinate right there. And then what it does is it checks to see if that coordinate is further than 200 points away, or further than 200 pixels away. If it is, see, this represented by this green line, okay, it's good, it's a good line, then it will create an asteroid at that location. Then it does it again, and it repeats the process however many times you tell it. So this one, new X, random 11, a new Y, you can't see the coordinates, it's off the screen, but it's way over there, and you see that will be a good spot too, and it'll create an asteroid. Then here, it creates another one, new coordinates, and creates an asteroid. With my luck here, it won't generate one. Let's zoom through until see if we can find one that generates too close. Well, that one was close. See, now by chance, oh, there we go. See this one? See, this one is too close. See, so it will not generate an asteroid, and it will go and find another point. So in that case, we were pretty lucky. Only one of them was within range. Okay, so that's how that process works there. Okay. All right. So now the issue becomes I'm gonna drop this down to 1, my asteroid quantity down to 1, and I'm going to show you the next problem that we're going to deal with. What happens when we destroy all the asteroids? So here comes our asteroid, and I just blast it into non-existence. Got one little straggler there. Okay, no more asteroids. Nothing happens. So the game is done. So what we're going to do is we're going to set it so that when there are no more asteroids, it will generate a whole new batch. Okay. So what we're going to do here, fortunately we won't have to redraw all of this or retype all of this again. All we're going to do is just duplicate this event, because what's going to happen is once they're all gone, it's basically the same thing is going to happen. It's just going to repeat the whole process again here. Maybe I can get the zoomed out a little bit here. Let me close this a little bit. All right, so what we want to do now is on our add event. Okay, there we go. So add event, instead of adding another event, we are going to duplicate this event. We're going to right click on it and go duplicate event, and this time it's going to be a step event, step. Now we do not want this to happen all the time. We want, there was a specific condition. The only time we want this to happen is if the asteroids exist, or if there are no asteroids, then do it. Okay, so we have to add another condition here. So before this, I'm going to put a space here, and we're going to go if not instance exists object asteroid, then, so I'm going to put the open bracket there. So I want this whole thing is going to be enclosed in these brackets here. So I've got to put a closing one at the end here. So I've got one at the beginning, one at the end here. Let me see if I can move this down a little bit so we can see the whole code in here. And then we got to start. So none of this is going to run unless there are no asteroids. That's what if not means. So I'm going to get these lined up here. Basically, I'm going to add 2 spaces to each one of these lines here. And again, in GameMaker, this isn't required, but it sure makes it a lot easier to fix problems if they arise. Okay, so now let's go through the code and just kind of analyze what's happening here. So if there is no asteroid, then all of this code from here to here runs. So it'll say asteroid quantity equals 1. Then repeat asteroid quantity, and then it does the same process before. It finds a random location, checks to see if it's within 200 pixels of the ship, and if it is more than that, then it will go ahead and generate it and repeat this as many times as we say here. So now one of the things we wanted to do was make it more difficult as time went on. So we want to add an asteroid here. So I'm going to go instead of asteroid quantity plus equals 1 or equals 1, I'm going to make it plus equals 1. So it's going to add an asteroid every time. Now you can increase this. You can make it so there's like 5 more asteroids every time, but this seems to be pretty good in my experience. If I go back to the create event and I start off with, say, 5 asteroids, and then when there's no more asteroids left, then I add one to it, then there's 6, and then there's 7, then there's 8, and it gets, it makes the game a little bit fun to play here. So again, now let's set it up. Now there is a situation that can arise with this code that we will have to deal with here, and that basically involves what happens if the ship shoots a bullet just as the last asteroid, or at the last asteroid, and that asteroid has already killed the ship. Oh, we got a problem here. Controller event, step, line 2, unknown function or script. Oh, there we go. Instance exists. Right here, right there. And I forgot to put the S right there. So instance exists. So there was a problem. And again, if your game doesn't run, look down here. There's some errors here. Sometimes that white window pops up during the game that shows an error. If not instance exists, object asteroids here. Okay, so now I've got 1 asteroid. I'm going to go ahead and destroy it, and then when that gets destroyed, you should see 2 asteroids appear here. There you go. See, now I got 2. And then if I destroy these, come on, come on. I got another one somewhere. There's probably an asteroid floating along the edges here that's keeping from getting destroyed. Okay, well, anyway, you have to trust me. It's out there somewhere. It's on the border here somewhere that's off the screen. But again, that's what will happen. It'll just every time there's no asteroid. But again, the problem that it's hard to get. But there are some cases where again you as your ship will fire a last bullet, and the asteroid will destroy you, and that last bullet will end up taking out the asteroid that killed you. And then it tries to generate new asteroids, but the problem is it's referring to a ship that may or may not be there. So we have to add one more line here after this. If not, we're going to go and instance exists object ship. Okay, so now this will prevent that from happening. Okay, all right, that's it for this video. In the next one, now we will start making an enemy.